So first of all, to introduce myself, I'm Alexander Rawlatt. I'm an EU product policy specialist at Mitsubishi Electric, and I'm based in the Brussels representative office. I'm here today to talk to you about the prospect for the life cycle sustainability of fans and ventilation units under the EU's proposal for an eco-design regulation. So quickly, my responsibility within EVIA is that I'm chair of the Circular Economy and Sustainability Task Force. And it's a horizontal task force across our product working groups, which are non-residential ventilation, residential ventilation, and fans. So during the course of the presentation today, I'm going to run through the EU's holistic sustainable products initiative, and then under that, the eco-design regulation proposal itself. Then I'm going to more detail on what we can expect performance requirements-wise for life cycle sustainability from that proposal and its implementation in the implementing regulations for fans and ventilation units. And then I'll talk about what we, as the Circular Economy Task Force, are doing to get the industry ready for when we have to implement those requirements for life cycle performance at the product level. So firstly, the EU Sustainable Products Initiative. So back on the 30th of March, the Commission published this kind of all-encompassing communication on sustainable products. The flagship part of that was the proposal to revise the Ecodesign Directive and replace it with the Sustainable Products Regulation. I just want to stress that that's not the only part of the Sustainable Products Initiative. There are these other elements that are equally interesting, and I would advise anybody who is interested to go away and take a closer look at those. But for us, the Ecodesign Regulation revision is the key. So, the Ecodesign for Sustainable Products Regulation. First thing I want to say is, the scope that we currently know, focused on energy-related products, will be expanded to pretty much all tangible products that are placed on the EU market, which is enormous. I'd also note straight away that cascading as an approach is expanded, i.e. the regulation of components as well as final products, and notably, the transport exemption is gone. So really, I just want to stress that the scope of the eco-design regulation is now pretty much all products that are placed on the market. What will then happen, and I really want to stress here that for us, as industries that are already well regulated by the Ecodesign Directive, and where we have implementing regulations, also known as product lots, our regulation will stay in those product lots. So what it means is that for us, any requirements related to life cycle sustainability will be handled in the revisions of our Ecodesign implementing regulations. So for ventilation and fans, that means Rawlatt 6 and Rawlatt 11. But just quickly, for other products, what they'll likely do is use the existing sector-specific regulation to set those sustainability requirements. So the construction products regulation is a good example. We also recently had a proposal to revise that regulation, and that will be used as the vehicle to set the sustainability requirements for the construction products. And in essence, the eco-design regulation will stand as a safety net should one of these sector-specific pieces of legislation not thoroughly legislate the sustainability of products. But for us, the focus will be on the next revisions, and I know that we're still in the revision of Rawlatt 11 and Rawlatt 6, but the focus for us for sustainability will be the next revisions. And that's what I really want to stress. We're looking ahead towards the end of this decade, maybe 2026 to 2030, but it is in those revisions of the eco-design regulations for our products. This is really just a brief overview of things I probably think you already know, which is how eco-design works. On one hand, you have information requirements, and then on the other hand, you have performance requirements. Those information requirements are designed to encourage manufacturers to behave better. The classic example would be energy labeling. And then the performance requirements are there to ban certain practices from the market. I'd like to stress here that although it's not the focus of this presentation, some of the changes to the information requirements that we would see in the Ecodesign regulation and its implementation are significant. You may have heard of the Digital Product Passport, and also the Commission would like to introduce a concept of substances of concern, which would be about tracking the presence of substances of concern or chemical substances of concern in our products throughout throughout the supply chain. Those are seismic, but we're not going to focus on those today. We're going to focus on the prospects for the performance requirements. Under the Ecodesign regulation, performance requirements would be set on the points A to N that you can see on the slide. For many of those, we are either very used to, because we're used to energy efficiency requirements for products. We have Rawlatt 11 and we have Rawlatt 6. And we're increasingly becoming familiar with material efficiency requirements, i.e. on the durability or repairability of a product. But there are some performance requirements that would come from the Ecodesign regulation that we are less familiar with. And the one that I really want to highlight here is M, which is environmental impacts, including carbon and environmental footprint. And then that leads into discussion about performance requirements and metrics. The Commission has itself developed a life cycle assessment methodology, which it calls product environmental footprinting. The Commission considers that that is the best available life cycle assessment methodology in the marketplace. And in December last year, they published a revision of a recommendation on the use of environmental footprint methods, which in essence calls on industry associations, but also companies to use the product environmental footprint methodology. What this means is we know that towards the end of the decade, in the revision of Rawlatt 6 and Rawlatt 11, that we will need to start to establish calculation methodologies for the life cycle sustainability of our products. We as Evia want to make sure that we're ready. And ultimately, because of the revision of the Energy Performance of Buildings Directive, which seeks to introduce a reporting requirement for new buildings to disclose their life cycle emissions from 2030, we know as the product manufacturers that we will have to provide the data at the product level. If we're to provide the data in a harmonized way at the product level, we will have to provide it via a calculation methodology harmonized at the EU level and set in Rawlatt 11 and Rawlatt 6. So here I just wanted to show some of the elements that would go into building that life cycle assessment score or product environmental footprint score. And it touches obviously on the use phase energy efficiency of the products, but also on the material efficiency aspects and possibly also on recycling aspects. And what we see is that that score would ultimately be based most likely on classes of performance that would be developed on the basis of that calculation methodology. We're obviously quite familiar with that because we have energy labeling, but we would see that expanding into other issues. So things like durability and repairability scoring. This here is the repairability index in France, which is already around. This is detail from the Commission's review of the methodology for the eco-design of energy-related products, which looks to set scoring on reliability, repairability, and upgradability. That would then be implemented in the eco-design product lots. And at the bottom, you actually see in progress that repairability scoring being implemented at the EU level for smartphones and tablets. So again, this gives good indication of where we are going and where we can expect to have to be as the ventilation of fan industries when that revision of Rawlatt 6 and Rawlatt 11 happens towards the end of this decade. So what are we doing? We, as I've just said, see the direction of travel up until 2030. So in a way, we need to start planning ahead. We need to start planning what do we need to get in place that when the Commission starts to revise Rawlatt 6 and Rawlatt 11, probably around 2026, we need to be ready as the industry to provide the answers. We need to have a way of calculating the life cycle of sustainability of our products, Because if we don't go into those meetings with the European Commission with an idea, they will establish their own methodology and impose their will on us. So it is beholden on us to get ready. So what Evia proposes to do is that we propose to commission an expert consultancy on life cycle assessment to work with us to develop that calculation methodology so that we are ready when the Commission starts to do those revisions. And that would build on the standards that are used for describing the kind of life cycle assessment of products, which you can see here is a screenshot from EN 15978, which shows the scope of the life cycle that we would be trying to include in that study. So in short, our intention is to make sure that we as the industry are ready for when the Commission asks us to help them in stakeholder consultation with developing those calculation methodologies on which performance requirements could eventually be set for sustainability. I know it's looking a little bit far in the future, and that as manufacturing companies, we always have shorter deadlines that appear more a priority right now, but we really do need to get ready for this. And that's what we propose to help the industry do as Evia.